In 1995, Basset and his 17-year-old friend Nick McDonald went to Bassett's McCleary home, shot and killed his mother Wendy and father Michael. The next year, he got a life sentence without a chance for parole.
Track number 1 from Silverchair's 1995 debut album, Frog Stomp. It's Israel's Son. We all know it. It's got that really awesome, cool, catchy bass line, which kicks off the whole album. One of the band's biggest hits and a favorite at live shows, no doubt about that. But it was back in January 1996 where the song Israel's Son was involved in a murder case. So basically you had two teenage boys. The main offender, his name was Brian Basset, he was just 16 years old, and his accomplice, Nicholas McDonald. Now, the main offender, Brian Basset, he murdered his mother and his father, and also his younger brother as well. And that happened in August of 1995. So when this case was taken to trial, the defendant for these two boys claimed that the pair of them had listened to the song Israel's Son from Frog Stomp, and that contributed to what they did. The defendant's lawyer cited the lyrics from the song, "Hate is what I feel for you, and I want you to know that I want you dead." And he stated that those lyrics from the song were almost a script, and they're relevant to everything that happened. So what ended up happening, the band's manager, John Watson, he was quoted as stating on behalf of Silverchair, "Silverchair do not, have not, and never would condone violence of any sort." The band is appalled by this horrific crime, and they hope that justice will prevail in prosecuting whoever is responsible for it. The band extends its sincere sympathies to the families and friends of the victims in this case. Silverchair absolutely rejects any allegation that their song is in any way responsible for the actions of the alleged murders. It is a matter of public record that the song in question, Israel's Son, was inspired by a television documentary about wartime atrocities. Israel's Son was never intended to provoke violence and cannot be interpreted by any reasonable person as doing so. In fact, the song seeks to criticize violence and war by portraying them in all their horror.
We recorded like a song in the morning, and in the afternoon we'd just get lunch and play Sega or something, play video games, and then when it got like later into the evening, we'd record like a song or two after that. So each day we'd record like 1 or 2 songs. So that was how it worked, and then we just did the vocal tracks after we got all the music down.
So as you can see, guys, this was a big deal for the band back in the day. They had just released their album Frog Stomp, and then they had to deal with this. A very serious and sad thing that happened with these people getting murdered. Nobody wants to see that. But then the two boys were taken to court over it, and they blamed it on Silverchair's song, Israel's Son. Now, what actually ended up happening in the end is that the prosecutors rejected the defense case and convinced the jury that the murder was committed to actually steal money and belongings and to run off to California. The accomplice in this crime, McDonald, he got 65 years in prison, and Basset, the main offender, he got life without the possibility of parole. So there were no charges at all brought to Silverchair over this case. It ended up that the judge found the band not liable in any way for what had happened. And that is what a lot of people do, that when they commit crimes, they blame it on, oh, I was drunk, oh, I was on drugs, oh, I listened to this song, oh, I played this video game, etc. And that's their way to get out of the horrific crime that they caused. It's just an excuse. In my book, it's just an excuse. They might say, oh, I played this video game, or I listened to this song, and then it made me do this horrific crime. Well, plenty of people play video games, watch movies, have fun drinking, listen to all music, and they don't go and do that. So why did this particular person go and do that? It seems like all these hundreds and thousands of people listened to this song or played a particular video game or whatever, and they were fine, but only these 2 or 3 handful of people or whatever, it affected them. or they say it did. It does bring up an interesting issue of violence in the culture and stuff like that. And are there just too many needlessly over-violent movies and video games and stuff like that? The thing is, this is the world we live in. This is how it is. It's not a perfect world by any means, but if you think that you're going to watch something or listen to something that's going to affect you in a certain way and you're not sure about it, because some people can't handle that sort of stuff, then I would just recommend to just stay away from it. Another big thing that comes into it too is age. Like, if you're watching certain graphic stuff when you're like 18 to 20 years old, you can actually handle it a lot better than when you're, say, 12 or 13. There's a big difference. And everybody is different too. For some people, it's just water off a duck's back. That just won't affect them at all. And other people, it will affect, especially if they're too young. So if you are underage, it's just better sticking to your own age restriction stuff. And then as you get older, 18, 20 years old and into being an adult, you can process and understand a lot of that sort of material much better. But I would say that thing that made you commit that horrific crime, that would already have to be a part of you, who you are. You don't just listen to the song and then it makes you go and do that. That would already have to be in you, I would say. And then to say the song made me do it, I think is just a poor excuse. So for these two teenagers who committed these murders, I would say they were already that way beforehand, and what they should have done is seek some kind of help or counseling. That would really be what they would have needed. And to just go back to the song Israel's Son, definitely one of my top 5 Silverchair songs, easy. It'll be a favorite for many Silverchair fans, that's for sure. It's a really good song, as I say, really awesome live too. I've seen the band live like twice in my life, and they played that song both times, and the crowd just absolutely loves it. It's a totally kick-ass song. And not necessarily talking about the lyrics or anything that makes a song great, but it's more the music that is in that song that is awesome. How it breaks off near the end, everybody knows the part. The song changes tempo and totally speeds up at the end. Like, musically, that song is just awesome. It's amazing. The lyrics are deep and they go dark, no doubt about that. That's the same as a ton of media that you see out there. It's always going to be that way. As I say, that's the world we live in. It's not a peaceful world. So people who have these tendencies that are like this and are going to commit crimes like this, they got to get help. Or someone's got to get help for them. And at the end of the day, you cannot just blame a song for those terrible atrocities. I mean, 3 people were murdered, and no, I do not believe that was the fault of the song Israel's Son. As I say, hundreds of thousands, millions of people have listened to that song worldwide and enjoyed it, jumped around to it, loved it, no problem. So that tells me it can't be the song. It's just these couple of individuals. When they try to blame it on something other than themselves instead of actually taking ownership of what they did. I mean, by saying that a song made them do those things, it's basically just them passing the buck. Basically just trying to avoid jail time. That's all they're really doing. Anyway, guys, that was an old school story from back in the Silverchair archives. Definitely brings up a bit of a debate about what people think about that sort of thing. But I think if Silverchair had been sued or had in any way been held liable for what had happened for those murders, I think that would have been grossly unfair, and I don't think that would have been right. Anyway, guys, that's my 2 cents. Leave yours down below in the comment section, and we'll catch you next time here on Dude Man Productions.
And does writing come easily for you?
Sometimes, like, you'll have like a month or 2 a week and just write. But there's a lot of times where you just have a patch where you can't write anything, so you just take your time off and go to the beach or something.
Do you usually write by yourself? You write with Ben a lot too,
yeah.
The drummer. And do you both sit and jam on your instruments, or?
Yep. We just jam and then think up riffs on guitar and stuff.
Mm-hmm.